Alrighty, so today we are going to be doing a Miho Bourbon playthrough. This is going to be a tutorial walkthrough on how to get her up to an A rank. She's one of the more difficult characters that I've done so far, just because of how her races are laid out. But to get her build started, we'll start first with her legacy characters. Now, we are going to be building mostly on speed, stamina, and power, and for this case, we're going to be choosing a legacy character that's a guest that will give us bonuses in those three skills. We mainly want to focus on speed, just like any other Uma, really. However, Bourbon has some longer races kind of mixed in there, so you know, we do need to build up stamina a little bit. As you can see, we're going with a 3 speed, 2 wit, 1 stamina card build. And we are going to be using Kitasan Black as our, you know, borrowed card. She's the best card by far at this point in the game. And if you do have a Super Creek, I highly recommend using her as well. That way you can get the swinging Maestro skill. So we're going to start this out. We got the 84 bonus points for power, and it was around 22 in speed. At the very beginning here, just like really any other run, we are going to be building up the friendship gauges. However, we do need to keep in mind that our stamina needs to be high enough to complete some, you know, 2,000 meter races or longer, which means if it comes down to it and you have 2 support cards on a skill, say you got 2 on speed, 2 on stamina, and 2 on wit, we're going to be picking stamina for the most part at these early game choices, just to kind of build that up. And since we really want to start working on those rainbow trainings as early as possible, we can get the stamina training out of the way earlier on and then focus on building up our speed, power, and some wit later on. So right now we are going for some of the skill bonus points here. We have the 2 skill unlock for guts, but then we also have Kitasan Black on power. Kitasan Black is going to be one of the better cards that we have, and she does give a lot of mood bonuses throughout the career. You'll see that as well, which makes it easier for you to save some turns and not have to do recreation. And since we want to get as much training in with Bourbon, we are going to try to choose as many dialogue options that are going to give us some more energy back. Now, you'll learn those over time. Each Uma throughout every single career playthrough has hundreds of them, so I don't believe anybody, including myself, has bothered memorizing them all. I haven't even tried. So, you know, some of them are pretty obvious. Let's get some rest, or let's eat up. Those are usually the ones that are going to give you some energy boosts. And if you have some that sound like they might give you a stamina boost, you may want to choose those as well, depending on where your energy levels are at. If you have a higher risk than 15 to 20% on anything, I usually recommend either doing a wit training or taking a rest. As you can see there, we failed. It was around a 20% failure rate, but you know, at the end of the day, it is a bit of a dice roll, and you get some bad RNG and can't really do anything about it. But one bad turn shouldn't screw up our A rank run here. We got lucky with the karaoke training, and that's going to get our mood up ×2, so we are back up to good in 1 turn, which is fantastic. And now we're just struggling with energy a little bit, so, you know, 0% on wit. We are going to get that friendship up there, and that should be plenty good stats for us to win this junior debut race. Now, because Bourbon does have some, you know, longer races mixed in here and there, we are going to buy some skills, but as few skills as possible throughout her career path. We still want to rate, just like with the sprinters that we've done already, to the very end of career to buy the majority of her skills. That way they have the biggest discounts as possible. However, she may need some endurance skills in order to get her through some of these races. So we are going to try to bank on getting either Gourmand or Springing Maestro, depending on what support cards you have. Because we are still a little early on here, we are going to be continuing to train mostly for our support cards. We do want to sprinkle in some speed every now and then, but for the most part, as you can see, we're going to be choosing whatever skill has the best support card options on it. In this case, we do want to get our stamina up a little bit, and Silent Suzuka is close to being in the green for her support card friendship bonus, so we decided to go with power there. And then a 3 characters on 1 skill, that's a bit of a no-brainer, so we'll take that. %. You can rest in these cases. I have only gotten a couple of A ranks with Bourbon. She's a little more difficult. I was trying to optimize her support cards and her legacy characters for the sake of this tutorial, and this is what I came up with. There are a few other options, and you know, not doing any wit and putting them 3-3 for stamina and speed worked for me as well, but this seemed to be the more reliable, more frequent option that paid off with the A rank in the end. And having those support cards up as high level as possible is going to help you out drastically along the way. You want to increase those special priorities, you want to increase those initial friendship bonuses, and in this case we had some really good wit cards. I have not been fortunate enough to really pull any good speed cards. I've gotten a ton of wit and power and guts cards, but I have not been fortunate enough to get any good speed cards. And even then, I didn't get a single, I think with what, the 1500 or so carats that they gave us, I didn't get a single Kita-san Black during her banner, so that was a huge bummer. Luckily, one of my friends has her fully all the way up to level 50, and that's the one I usually borrow here. So with these dialogue options, again, I don't have these memorized. That one sounded like it may give some power. When you don't have a dialogue option that sounds like it's going to give some energy, I usually choose the one that sounds like it isn't for guts, because I do not need guts at all on this build, and because she's a more difficult character to get up to that A rank, we want to be maximizing our other skills that we actually want, our speed, our power, our stamina. So if we can get any extra bonus points there, and that's the only other option, then we'll choose that. But normally getting a good energy boost that will allow you to take another turn is going to be the better option in the end, specifically because mid to late game, an extra turn, you're usually going to get significantly more bonus points for that skill than you would through an event. So we are getting quite a few of our trainers now up to the rainbow training capability. I think it's the over 80% is when it turns orange. We don't want to do any wasteful turns. You know, once you start getting into the end game here, it can be a little more difficult, especially with her longer races coming up, and we really do not want to fail anything. So when it comes down to it, we are going to be doing a bit of wit training, mainly because that's another easy skill that's that's another skill that's easy to get up to B rank. And you know, I like to do the SAB. So if we have one in the high S rank and then another skill that's an A and another skill that's a B, that's usually going to be enough to push us over the edge to the A rank. And wit is a very nice one to get up to that low standard of the B rank, because it not only will, you know, give you the larger career points overall, but it will also rank up and give you extra bonuses to your speed along the way. So here we're going into the spring stakes. We shouldn't need any sort of skills for this one just yet. Excellent, so we're going to get first place. We really shouldn't struggle all that much. There may be a couple that we have to redo, but I believe we're going to be okay this run. I actually did one just before this, and it was just a little close. She got kind of screwed over in the, I think it was the Kiko show, and she managed to get 8th and then 16th, and I redid it same way, and as of so far, it's doing just fine. And the previous races I did with that strategy seemed to work out as well. So coming up, the Kiko show, and then I think it's the Tenno show or the Arima Kinen. Those are going to be the two biggest challenging ones for Bourbon. And before the Japanese Derby, you want to make sure that you have around the skill points that I'm going to have here. Excuse me. After the inspiration, you will have a significant boost to your power and speed here. So we got 67 power, 35 speed. And around 250 stamina should be okay, because we are going to be purchasing one skill going into the next race, and that's going to be a stamina skill. So 250 stamina, and then I think we have swinging maestro with this one. So we'll choose that skill, and that should be more than enough to push us into the top 3. Alright, so we got first place. It's a shorter race, so, anything under 2,000 or under, we're not going to be struggling with at all, including the Euro finals. They're around, I think it's, for Bourbon, we'll see once we get there, but I believe it's around 2,200. That shouldn't be any problem for her. If you're going for the A rank, you're almost guaranteed to win the Euro finals anyway, so that is not really a hurdle that we have to overcome here. So 2 turns until the Japanese Derby. We're going to take a look at our options here. So we want to get a little bit of energy. We did have the Kitasan Black on speed, but we could potentially do better, and we do want to do a stamina training as well at some point. So we got some energy back just by doing the wit training, and also got some friendship bonus points for the director. Now, I would have preferred to do stamina there, but we did have a bunch on Guts, and Guts is going to help with the length running as well, so it kind of works out. Would have been nicer to stack it on Guts. And it is the swinging maestro, so, if you have a Gourmand, that should work fine. I've also been able to complete this A rank just by using Rosy Outlook, which is a medium skill, and I think corner recovery. Just the corner recovery was enough, so we went with the swinging maestro here just because it already had the 10% discount, and we're going to need it by the end of the game anyway because of the bonus points it gives for our career. So we got a good 9 turns coming up here, and we're going to kind of be pumping these all into our skills back and forth now. We should have pretty much all the stamina we need for the rest of the career path. So now it's going to be about getting that speed up to S rank, that power up to A rank, and the wit up to B rank. And wit is going to be a skill that we're going to be training a little bit more than the others, just because, as I said, it does give that speed boost, but it's also going to give us back energy, so it's a great way to continue getting points without having to waste a turn resting. So beach training, looks like we're doing a couple in wit, but we are going to take that speed. We don't want to do the whole beach training without putting any into speed, so we did 2 in 1. 2 in wit was enough to get us up to a good level to do a speed training without having to rest immediately afterwards. And now we have Kitasan Black and that girl whose name I never remember on wit, and we'll take that because it does give a little bit of a bonus there as well. Now this turn we are going to rest just because we don't have any great options, and if you don't have any rainbow training and you don't have any good stackable characters, support cards on any of your skills, it may be the best decision to rest. I usually like to, just to save up some energy for the next turn, especially if I'm going into a race, because that gives me the chance of rolling the dice and possibly getting a good friendship bonus training like we did just there. 2 rainbow training on speed, so that gave us a good plus 30 to our skill points at speed. So we already have our swinging maestro, so this should be a cakewalk for us. It is one of the longer races at 3,000 meters, but with our speed and our power, we should be able to... Oh, well, like I said, it's RNG. Now, when that happens, I do like to go in and make sure that we are at pace. Okay, excellent. See, RNG, that's all it was, and it happens, and it'll probably happen to you. The first time I was able to get an A rank with Bourbon, it took about 6 tries. She is just a difficult character, kind of like the second adaptation of Meijiro Queen. They're just more difficult characters to get ultimately. So we'll do the training here, and depending on how it splits. All right, we got 2 on speed. So we're definitely going to take that. And we may have to rest this next turn depending on what it's looking like. I'll do it. Because we do want to get that wit up. Remember, the wit needs to be up to a B by the end of this run in order to cross that threshold from B plus to A. We'll get some reporter training in there. One on wit. That's a good bonus for wit. And we're getting pretty close to everything we'll need for wit for this entire playthrough. So we're going to take the rest up option there. Gives a good amount of energy and will give us a couple of turn options going into the next career here. And we do have 1 on wit, so we'll take that and max out, almost max out our energy here. Bushel of carrots. Kind of a bummer. We already had pretty decent energy and our mood was already great, so we rolled lucky with it, but ultimately it didn't do all that much for us. 24. Eat some black, just great training on that, and it always procs more often than some of the other characters due to the special priority. Train with us will give us stat bonuses, but the other option will give us some energy back. As for pointers, we'll do a wit training here. Now, it is looking a little sketchy here because, again, we do really want to be training our speed. And we do have a speed option there. We have a stamina option there as well. But we're going to go with the speed option. We're not getting very many stackables on speed. And that, again, it comes down to RNG. We got 2. Okay, that's a good look there. So now we're high B. Going into our inspiration. So the special priority under your support cards will determine how often they show up under their assigned skill. So we do have some decent special priority. However, it is still a chance. So, you know, you might get certain options in one career playthrough where you get plus 80 for speed, plus 60 for speed in a row. And then you do another career playthrough and you don't see a double stack the whole time. It's a bummer, it sucks, and you just kind of have to go with the flow. It has happened to me many times where you have a perfect run, no debuffs or ailments, all good options, friendship training going perfectly. You know, they're all rainbow training able, but you don't get any of them stacking up, and you finish 40% or 40 points short of getting the A rank. So we do have max energy, and our wit's getting close to B. It's only 14 off, and we'll get more than that throughout the finals. So we're going to go ahead and take a speed here. We're still going to train speed because that is number one here for what we want to have maxed out, and wit is pretty much all set, and power will go up with speed. Not directly proportionally, but pretty similarly. It gets a pretty significant bonus when you train speed here. So we do need some energy. We're going to rest since there's no rainbow training. Beach training, we got a good 30 for speed. Not going to pass that up. 26 in wit. We'll take that just because we didn't have a good speed option. We'll do speed there. Don't want to do 2 wits in a row at this point in the game. And again, we're really just pumping everything into speed from this point on, especially since we are still in the B area. I don't like that, but we may get... Oh, we're in the A area, sorry. We still need to get up to SS+. So I believe that's 200 points up from the 800. So as long as we keep getting rainbow trainings with Suzuka, get some black, and the other one, we should be able to break over the points needed in career for the A rank. Getting some good skill options there. We want to rest, especially since after the Japan Sea, we are going to get the finals. Take a rest, get some energy back there. Don't overdo it, get some energy back there. Or not. So 920, we are at a medium of the way A+. We need to get that up to 1000. So we need to be able to pump 80 more points, and I think we get around 40 throughout the course of the finals and the finish. So if we can get 40 points put in, and I believe we should be able to do that in 2 turns. Or 3 turns, because we still have the Arima Kinen. 24. We only get the 1, so we really want to get a higher power, higher skill option for speed there. So we'll take the energy and do the race, and then hopefully during the finals we'll get some good dice rolls. Move her to front pace runner since we aren't going to be worried about distance, or we shouldn't be worried about distance here. The results again. Okay, yeah, first place, no problem. Alright, so it's not my best bourbon run so far, but it's not going poorly. We do still have the ability to get it out of here. So let's go ahead and do our wit training here, get some energy, and that will give us 2 good speed trainings for our turns going into the semifinals and our turn going into the finale. Should be first. Okay, excellent. No problem there. Our stats should, yeah, all around our stats should be more than enough to get us through all of these races in first place without too much of a headache. Again, you might get unlucky, might have to redo it, but for the most part, we should be fine. So let's roll our dice. Are we going to get a good... Okay, 23. All right. So I think that may have pushed us over the edge, and at this point, we have enough to get that A rank, but let's see what these next 2 turns will give us, or next turn will give us. So first place in the semifinals, no problem. Ooh, a 45. Well, it took long enough to get a triple stack, but eventually we did it. So that is fantastic. We're at 1028 for speed, and then we're going to get all these bonuses going into the end game after the finals with all the dialogue that happens. So that was probably the perfect timing for that to show up. Left me a little nervous there that maybe we might just be a little shy, but fully confident this will be an A rank run. Shouldn't be a problem. So we got +5 for her, +15 for the director, and then I believe it's another +5 for the character for getting through the URA finals. Or the URA finals, whatever you want to call them. So now we got to distribute our skill points. We're going to do this based off of our aptitudes. So front, mile, medium are our aptitudes that we have A rank in. So I'm going to scroll through her skills and choose ones that are front, mile, or medium. I'm going to want to get as many skills as on here as possible before I worry about getting any of the golds. Professor of Curvature is a key to some black skill, and it is phenomenal, gives good bonuses, so we are going to get that one. We get that, you've probably noticed, on pretty much every single A rank run that we do. I think we have done it on actually every A rank run we do. And when you're down to your final points where we got 143 here, might not be enough to split between two, so we're going to want to use up as many as possible. In this case, we got a gold front runner, she's a front runner, so we'll take that. And this should be kind of low to mid rank A rank run. Low to mid rank A rank. Should be around an A rank run. Yep, there we go. 10,393 with Bourbon. So that's going to be the playthrough here. If you liked it, feel free to let me know in the comments what Uma you would like us to train up next. I believe I have Rudolph in the works. So yeah, let me know and have a great day.